Climb into your heart on twisted.
Cowboys swings, makes right one, deep left center field. Mullins looks up, and it's out of here.
Good morning, Mets family. You already know it's your boy, Rashid McDonald, and today is April 3rd, 2025. And yesterday afternoon, the New York Mets had a character bonding experience as a team. And we're going to get into all of that because there's so much that is in between the lines and that you saw firsthand. And it was a great win, great victory, got the series dub. They come back home tomorrow for opening day against the Toronto Blue Jays. So we're going to get into all of that. But you already know the deal. First, let's get to the highlights. Mets and Marlins, final game of the series, and top of the first, Juan Soto has reached base safely in every single game he has played as a Met so far. And this one, much of the same. Next batter, Pete Alonso, goes shopping at the gap for him and his homie. That'll bring in the run. The first time the Mets score a run in the first inning this season. Bottom third, Matt Mervis hits the ball to deep right and get the sac fly to knot the game at one apiece. Runners at the corners, and Mark Vientos tries to make the play at home, but he overthrows the catcher. The run will score. As you can see, the runner would have been out because he stopped, but overthrows. Later on in the seventh, Mark Vientos with another mistake. Instead of letting the ball go foul, tries to make the play. Run scores. Later on in the seventh, Nick Fortes hits it to right field, and Juan Soto boots it. Marlins take the 4-1 lead. Picking it up in the top of the eighth, Luis Torrens gets on base. Francisco Lindor laces a hit that'll go to the corner, and the runners are at the corners for the Mets, and they're in business trying to get back in the game. Next batter, Juan Soto grounds out, and the out is at home, so the run doesn't score. Next batter, Pete Alonso.
And Alonso drives one deep center field. Sanoja back, takes a look, and it's out of here!
Just like in Milwaukee in the postseason, ties the game 4 apiece. Going into the bottom of the eighth, runner at third, and Brett Beatty tries to make the play at home. He was called safe, but after review, it looked like the tag was made. Here's the call from the home plate umpire.
The review, the call in the field is overturned. The runner is out.
So the game stays tied. Picking it up, top of the 11th, Jesse Winker draws the walk to give the Mets the 5-4 lead, giving the opportunity for Mark Vientos to make up for his mistakes. He'll hit one to short, and Xavier Edwards misplays the ball. Mets will win the game 6-5. Tomorrow, we have opening day at home Citi Field. It's going to be Tyler McGill going up against Kevin Gausman of the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays have been handling business offensively, and they've been doing what they needed to do, as the AL East is one of the better divisions in the American League. So the Mets will be going head-to-head, toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose with the Toronto Blue Jays. And there's going to be a very interesting matchups because Pete Alonso was, flirting with the Blue Jays in the offseason. The Mets was flirting with the idea of trading for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic with all of those people in the same building. But it's going to be an exciting day. The boys are home. Juan Soto's first home game as a New York Met. Pete Alonso, his reception coming back after, let's be honest, there was some uncertainty. A lot of fans wanted him back. Some fans were like, well, it is what it is. But if this past series and these past two series have been any indication, Pete Alonso is exactly what the Mets need in their locker room, in their lineup. It's their first baseman. It's who they have. And Pete Alonso is the New York Mets, if we're being honest with each other. So now let's talk about yesterday afternoon's matchup, because there was so much that was happening, right? As you saw in the highlights of what was going on. But there's a few notes that we're going to talk about. One of them is Mark Vientos. So in game 2, Mark Vientos, he had a base running decision where he started full speed, but then he slowed down towards the end. And that cost him a hit. And it could have extended the inning for the Mets. It kind of killed a potential rally. And he mentioned pregame in an interview that the manager, Carlos Mendoza, Francisco Lindor, who, in my mind is the captain, and the first base coach pulled him aside and said, that's unacceptable. That can't happen. You got to run it out full. And then there was one point in the game where he put a good swing on the ball, but it quite didn't leave, and it really frustrated him because he felt like he missed it. He missed the opportunity to tie the game. And, so you saw the footage there where, he took the C flap out and he threw it on the floor. Frustrations. But that boiled over into yesterday afternoon's game. And there was some defensive miscues that Mark Vientos, usually he's sure-handed when it comes to throws. His issues, as you saw in the postseason last year, wasn't really about throwing. It was about just making the play in front of him at third base. And that really reared its ugly head yesterday when he could have made a perfect throw to get the runner at home. And it was the right play, but he just overthrew it, went to the backstop, and that allowed a run to score. That was one. The second one was when A.J. Minter was on the mound and the ball was hit foul. And I get what he was trying to do, but I felt like it was completely unnecessary. He could have just let it go. I was really unclear as to what it reminds me back of the Taijuan Walker play. Remember when the ball was hit up the line in Pittsburgh and Taijuan Walker tried to bat it foul, try to pat it foul, and he did, but they called it fair because of some type of technicality where I guess he was on the fair side, and if he's on the fair side and he touches the ball, it's fair. I don't know what the rule is, but that kind of came into play yesterday with the Mark Vientos play where he caught the ball in foul territory and then threw it to first, and he thought they were going to call it foul, but they called it fair, and the run scores 4-1 going into the top of the 8th inning. And then Pete Alonso, and I had an idea that it was going to come down to Pete, and it was just so reminiscent of the Milwaukee home run where Pete Alonso went over there and gave the Mets the lead. And in Miami, he did the same, right? It was kind of like the same kind of, he hit the ball, grabbed the bat with 2 hands, belch out that yell and that scream, and he knew it was gone. He knew it was out off the bat, and he tied the game for the Mets. And you love to see that from Pete Alonso because it takes special abilities or a special kind of person to bet on themselves, not just once but twice, and show a team that he's all for them. So Pete Alonso did that yesterday, and lots of credit to him. Kept the team in the game. Speaking of keeping the team in the game, Clay Holmes. I know there's been a lot of conversation where he's, how are they gonna? I want people to get the notion that Clay Holmes was not brought in here to be an ace. Clay Holmes was brought to the Mets to pitch, to be a starting pitcher, not the ace. That responsibility falls on Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea is hurt, so he can't really, speak for himself right now. Now, if you want to tell me that, yes, the Mets do need to go out there and at least get one more surefire ace, and we'll get into that conversation about Sandy Alcantara in a minute, but he was not brought in here to be an ace. Neither was Griffin Canning, and neither is Tyler McGill being put in there to be an ace. So people need to get the notion that, oh, he has to be an ace. He has to be done. Like, no, get that out your head. Like, that's not what we need from them. The reason why the Mets were so successful last year was because guys like Jose Quintana, guys like Luis Severino, and Sean Manaea, because we didn't know what Sean Manaea was going to give us, they performed. And that's all we ask Clay Holmes to do, is just go out there, pitch your innings, keep your team in the game, give them an opportunity to win. And guess what Clay Holmes did? Exactly that. Houston wasn't his best. A lot of walks, but he kept the team in the game. Yesterday in Miami, the same. The game could have got completely out of hand both times in both starts. But he kept the team in the game. That's guts. And I'll take that any day of the week. So what I really think fans need to do is just calm down, relax, and let Clay Holmes give you what he can. He is out there giving his best. And that's the only thing I could ask for anybody, right? Because we've seen situations where, pitchers were brought in here and they couldn't perform. Remember the days when we used to rely on Dylan G, when we used to rely on John Neese, when we used to rely on guys who really just couldn't cut it, and they were our aces. They were our big dogs. The Mike Pelfreys of the world. Like, those were the big dogs, and they weren't really aces. So I think everybody just needs to relax. The starting pitching has been phenomenal. Take what they give you right now, right? It is an absolute check mark, check. They did their job. So has the bullpen. Now, if you want to go ahead and you want to talk about the offense needs to pick it up, absolutely 100%. My message to Mark Vientos is, remember what J.D. Martinez said last year. Forget about the expectations. Empty that. Empty the tank on what you expect to be, because baseball is so unexpected. Baseball can humble you very quickly, and that's the last thing we need, is for him to start getting yips or him to start forgetting how to play ball. No, we saw how good you are. You just need to perform. Go out there, be Mark Vientos, be that young bull, be that kid who be Swaggy V. Don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not, because we don't need that from you. Right? What we need for you to be is Mark Vientos. Remember that. I believe that you can be that. We all believe that you can be that. You need to believe it too. Second base, Luisangel Acuna. I've been saying it. When the lights are on, the kid is just good. Talent sometimes supersedes expectations, right? They say prospects are suspect until they show otherwise. Well, he's showing me otherwise. I don't care what nobody has to say about that. I think he gets the bulk of the reps going forward. You'll see Brett Beatty get a start here or there, but it's truly really just starting to fall on that. I really think it's Luisangel Acuna's show until Jeff McNeil comes back, and then whatever they decide to do with that. But truthfully speaking, the kid is good. Defensively, he gives you what you need, and then some, because he is above average defensively. So Luisangel Acuna, go ahead, young man. Do your job. Do your thing. Keep doing it. Keep doing it with your confidence. Because I don't care what nobody says. It's his job until it ain't. And then everything else, Juan Soto. We're going to talk a lot more about Juan Soto in a little bit. But Juan Soto, he's been on base every single game. So cut it out. Knock it off. Knock it off. Anyways, good job from everybody. all across the board, good job. Francisco Lindor, he'll be fine. Everybody just let it go. We're going to come back. We're going to sing My Girl as a group. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Let's be Met fans. Let's not try to throw a poopy party and just be all negative. There's no need for that. We need to be positive. We need to be forward. We need to go out there and perform. That's facts. Now let's get to the Juan Soto part of the story. Yesterday, Jackson Merrill signed an extension with the San Diego Padres, and he had some comments. Now, I don't know if they're directed towards Juan Soto, but a lot of people are assuming that because they were teammates for a little bit, I guess. I mean, he wasn't in the Major League club, but he was a part of the organization in Juan Soto's final year with the Padres in 2023. And so I don't know what that is. And I really don't understand what the negativity is all about, right? Because if Jackson Merrill has this notion or this idea that loyalty is a part of this game, I think he's sorely mistaken. Because that is not. First and foremost, this is a business, right? And whenever or if ever the Padres feel like they want to move on, they're going to move on, right? Everyone is expendable, no matter who you are, right? That's just the nature of the beast. Yes, Shohei Ohtani is the cash cow for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But if ever the Los Angeles Dodgers felt like they need to make a business decision because they cannot continue to, whatever, then they'll make whatever business decisions they need to make. It's just that simple, right? That's what the business of baseball is, right? Brian Cashman and Derek Jeter had issues because of that same thing. Derek Jeter felt like he needed more loyalty. Cashman didn't want to give it, but they were in a tough spot because he's the captain. And then you know the history, right? So I don't understand what Jackson Merrill's deal is or why he has all this animosity towards a big-time contract. Like, you got to understand, this contract isn't just for Juan Soto. It's for people like you as well. So I don't understand what the negativity is all about. Like, why are you counting somebody else's pockets when you should be worrying about yours? So I don't get what the deal is with Jackson Merrill. I'm not going to sit here and assume that his comments were directed towards Juan Soto. But if they were, I don't know what the deal is, right? That's low-hanging fruit, if we're being 100% honest. So whatever Jackson Merrill's deal is, hopefully he'll figure it out, and hopefully he'll clarify that a little bit more. But I'm pretty sure Juan Soto doesn't give a damn. I'm pretty sure he doesn't care what Jackson Merrill had to say. He did whatever he needed to do for himself and his family. And the sooner Yankee fans, the sooner every other fan and every other team or every other fan base recognizes that, then the better off you'll be. Stop counting other people's pockets, man. That's corny. What we doing out here? That's crazy. Anyways, opening day is tomorrow. I hope to see all of you there. We'll have more coverage on the Mets Life show and all the socials. So stay tuned for that. Look out for that. We're going to have a whole bunch of interviews this year. We're going to have a lot of bonus coverage for the New York Mets. So stay locked in. Don't forget, follow, subscribe on all the channels. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere. So don't forget, follow, subscribe. And last but not least, when it comes to the Mets, it's always for life. You already know the vibes. Let's go Mets.